Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of our program. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle. Today we have with us Heath Rost, who is the owner of Personable Media. Heath, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mike. Happy to be here.
Hey, so let's just get started with you're an entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to go into business for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started out as a programmer. I like to say that I actually learned English as a second language. And, after, I guess, the big tech boom, really started learning how to expand my reach through social media and blogging. I was working as a programmer analyst and just really felt called to be more on the marketing side. And about 3 years ago, made that shift and started Personable Media.
Was there a specific event or person that triggered that thought? I mean, a lot of times people finally get fed up with something, or they see a need or a problem in the marketplace, and they're just finally fed up with, I'm tired of seeing businesses struggling with X, so I'm going to go and solve that problem.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I felt that there was a real pain with helping small businesses communicate the message that they wanted to get out. Small businesses, they are working harder than any of us, really. I mean, they're the ones in their local communities that, have the hardest time competing in today's digital market because they have so much noise coming at them from so many different areas. And yeah, I just really kind of felt for them. Those were the first people that I started working with to help them get their marketing and their technology side fitted for them. So that's really who I was most passionate about helping. And of course, I wanted to do it on the largest scale. So I was listening to the primary influencers at the time, which a lot of them are still the same.
Yeah.
And going to these conferences, listening to how people were using the social media networks at their time to their disposal, how they were using blogging as marketing strategies, and how that all aligns with small businesses at the micro level.
That you bring up a really good point about noise, and I would suspect that we could talk for hours on end about that, but I would think, too, that some of what you're mentioning is where so many business owners are inundated every day with phone calls, emails, and mail about, we can help you do fill in the blank, right, with anything from Google apps to building a website to SEO to social media to whatever the case is, and I think at some point they start tuning out everything, when in reality there are some good opportunities out there for these business owners, and they probably just throw the baby out with the bathwater and just kind of turn everything down. Can you speak to what you would suspect is some really important things that a business owner needs to keep in mind regarding some of these opportunities, even that you provide, because messaging is a really huge piece?
Yeah. So I guess to those business owners, I would tell them to think about how do you feel when you land on your website? How do you feel when you land on your competitor's website? Do you feel like it's more of a conversation, or do you feel more like when you go to a restaurant and you open up a menu? Is it more menu-like? Do you have to kind of pick and choose what you're clicking on, or do you know exactly what the person who built the website wants you to click on? And that's really what we're the direction that we go when we design our websites. We want these to be conversation pieces as opposed to kind of like a menu.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle because I know that one of the things that I always tell my clients when we're talking about their website is, and tell me if I'm still correct in this stat, it used to be a few years ago that people would say, you've only got 3 to 5 seconds of people's attention on your website, and then they bounce off, or they're compelled to at what they see, and then they want to click something new. So is 3 to 5 seconds still about the attention span that we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's not like that attention span's getting longer either. It keeps getting shorter and shorter. So speed and load time are very important pieces. And anything that you can do in today's, digital age to make it so Google is seeing your website as loading faster, is encrypted, has security on it in terms of like an SSL certificate. I mean, there's so many different facets that we can do to help business owners get set up not only for Google and robots, but for people.
Yeah, I remember reading an article pretty recently within the last year or two that there's scientific research now that shows that a goldfish has the attention span of 9 seconds, and humans are between the 3 to 5 to 8 seconds. So they're beating us. So how can we, to your point, how can we play to that? Meaning there are so many websites that you can go to these days, and you get there and it looks like you're on, Main Street, where there's flashing this and this moving around, and it's like, look at me, and it just gets almost overwhelming where there's so many choices that people make no choice. So if we have the 3 to 5 to 7 seconds, what is your strategy to make sure that someone focuses on what the business owner needed them to focus on?
Yeah, so in the 3 to 5 seconds, people that land on your website should know who you are, what you're about, and how they can get started working with you.
So how does that translate into design? Because when you think about, I need a new website, or I need a website overhaul, what design elements are you recommending to a business owner that will make sure that message is really concise that way?
Well, I feel like it really comes back to our why and how we've designed these websites to give you the tools to have a personality. We have built the design with the intention of, how would somebody who's very personable, when they walk into the room and you talk to them, how would you feel talking to them? And that's the impression that we want when people land on your website.
Yeah, I think it's Maya Angelou that said a quote, something to the effect of, people will, forget what you said to them, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I think that's really does translate well into web design, because that 3 to 5 to 8 seconds time frame is, you never have a second chance to make a first impression, and that really applies to website as well. Hey, is it true, kind of talking about stats and quotes, in your industry, I've heard from even a few years ago that there still are about 40% of small businesses that still don't have a website at all, much less a good functioning one. Is that stat still relevant?
I feel like it would be a little bit less. I'd say maybe more in the 30 to 35%. But you know what? I guess if I had to kind of draw a graph in my head, I feel like nowadays there is so much clutter out there that it's often hard for people to get started.
Yeah. Yeah, and in business, like if you're in any business, selling any product, any service, brick and mortar, online, consulting, tangible products, I think that's a huge point to pull out and keep in mind, because when you are giving your prospect too many choices, they don't make any choice. Sometimes they will, but for the most part, you can confuse them so much with so many choices and options and add-ons and upgrades, and then they're just like, oh, they shut down. So I think I would venture to say that, for the ones that don't have a website, you can go to wherever. Just look at the TV and look at the next, ad that comes out that says free this or cheap that, and you can get a website. But is it going to serve you best?
Yeah. So there's another website building company out there, and I won't mention their name, but I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about. They build their websites on artificial intelligence, and that's not that works great for some people, and everything's going to work for what's going to work for your business. But I guess my response to that is artificial intelligence will never be emotional intelligence. And those are the principles that we've built into our websites.
Yeah, like you were saying about the 30 to 35% stat that businesses still don't have websites. I'm sure if you ran 10 studies, you'd get 12, results. I mean, it's going to be different in all over the board. But let's just say that it's 25%. If a quarter of all businesses out there still don't have a website, that's unacceptable. So, and then probably if you ran another study of all the businesses that do have websites and then did like an analysis and said, now are these, laid out well, functioning well, look well, good look and feel, I think you'd have just another astounding statistic. So what would you say to someone that maybe is in the 25%, like, well, we don't have a website, or we just have something parked by some domain host and it's just got a one-page contact us kind of a, website, quote unquote? What would you say that would be the first step that they should consider from the aspect of not having a website could really be costing you business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I guess my response would be make sure that you're in the right mindset. Make sure that you're keeping an open mind when going into this seemingly challenging task of building your own website. The message that I would want to, I guess, put out there is that building a website does not have to be so hard. And there is a light. A quote from a public speaker, author, Neil Schaefer. He always likes to say, "New tools, old rules." And I really like this because the rules of basic human to human communication aren't changing. The tools that we're using digitally are. So if you can build in human to human communication, through that, I guess, that digital home for your business, it doesn't have to be as complex and complicated as so many different companies out there can sometimes make it be.
And along those same lines, I would venture to say that even if it is easy with these layouts and builders and tools, because there are some easy ways to do it, it's not rocket science, but it really boils down to is, should you be taking the time to do it? Because what's the highest and best use of your time? And if you really calculate out for the typical small business owner, and again, there's nothing wrong with, huge business or solopreneurs, but the typical small business that has a handful of employees that now they're getting to the point of, how can I take my business to the next level? And let's either get that website finally, or let's finally get our website that's kind of, dated. Let's get it updated. The point is, if that business owner were to calculate their personal hourly rate and then calculate out how long they're going to potentially spend on learning and building a website, and then multiply it by 10 because it's going to be wrong, right? But how much is it really going to cost them given their hourly rate? And probably that calculation right there should convince them to go, just let someone do it, right? Because that business owner probably has people on their staff that handles their HR or bookkeeping. Well, they could have learned that too. But at some point, the business owner needs to be the face of the business, the mind of the business, and pushing the company forward and letting the experts do what they're doing best. Right.
And it should be something that is just a very solid, sound representation of your business. When you think of your website, what we want for all of our customers is when they pull out their website on their mobile phones, it's something that they're very proud and they can use as a promotional piece for their business and something that they can direct people to go to.
That's a big piece is the mobile phone deal because do you know of any just basic stats on how many people these days are accessing and buying products and services on mobile phones?
It's a very, very significant amount.
Yeah, staggering. Yeah. And we don't even need to pick a stat or a number because we can probably pick 10, 20, 30, 40 research surveys or research studies that have been done, and all of them, even you take the lowest number, it's a staggering figure because everybody has tech neck. They're always on their phone. and to your point, if people are coming to your website because maybe they did a search for something or they got an email from you and they clicked the link to go read whatever it was on your website, if that website's not optimized or laying out or responsive for mobile, it's not a good user experience, and maybe they bounce quicker than if they were on the desktop. So that's another huge element to design, right? I mean, are these some of the things that you would say, what makes you different from your competitors? Some of the ways that you make sure that it's designed properly for conversational and messaging. Some of the things like let's make sure that it's easy to navigate on mobile devices.
Yeah, precisely. So user experience is huge, and it's huge that you have a great user experience on mobile devices. I would honestly say that the way that we design the site is different from the way our competitors do it. So a lot of terms like mobile-friendly and responsive are out there, and I feel like these terms actually imply that your web development company built your website. Obviously, they built your website on a laptop, but they built it for a laptop. And the way we've designed our websites, they were built for smartphones and then expanded out to look and feel great on desktop computers.
That's an interesting contrast. That makes a whole lot of sense because, again, it doesn't matter what your business is. You could be an attorney or selling meat. People are on their phones looking for things, and if they're not seeing you in the right layout and the right imaging where they don't have to scroll all the way over, that just frustrates people. So if you are building things for mobile devices first, phone and tablet, and then you look at and make sure that it's good experience on the desktop, to me, that seems like flipping around the way that normally developers look at. So that's a huge competitive advantage. So let's say that someone finally makes the decision, they're moving forward to do their website for the first time or upgrade their website. They've talked to two companies. You're the third one. They've talked to other companies because everybody talks to different people. What are you going to say that would make them realize you're the correct choice?
I tell them that we're going to build them a beautiful website that works and that's scalable and affordable.
And scalable, meaning you might have an investment of X today, but in 2 to 3 years, your business might have grown to the point where now you need to take it to the next level. And if it wasn't built the right way, you might have to scrap it and start from scratch. And if it's scalable, then you're saying that it's got room to grow. Precisely.
Not only in the functionality portion, but also with your marketing strategy and your business blog.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation we could spend hours and days on. But right. just having the knowledge that what you have today will meet your needs now in a great way. I'm going to touch on affordable here before we wrap up, but the main thing that I see is I always like to know that what I've done now could be used and built on in the future, and you don't have to restart from the beginning. So that's a big feature, the platform, the foundation, the infrastructure of that website. When you want to take it to the next level is just a matter of, okay, let's just bolt this on or build this up or add this. It's not redoing the whole project again.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, so a lot of businesses can't afford to hire a big old agency, and I've got friends in the business that have said that when they were working for a big agency, I mean, it was 20 grand and up just for a starter site. And I think that some people hear those horror stories and go, I can't afford anything. And maybe that plays into why so many percentages of businesses don't even have one. They just go, can't afford it. Well, what would you say to kind of speak to that in their mind of, maybe you can afford it, and here's why. So what, without even quoting numbers or whatever, but what kind of approach do you take with regarding affordability?
Yeah. So again, I just want to reiterate, with so much clutter, in today's day and age, with so many people being able to build websites, building a website does not have to be so hard. And the way that we present these tools, these powerful tools for marketers, we are presenting them with a frame. We're presenting them with something that they can work inside of, that they can use so that they can be themselves and be themselves through their websites.
And then that plays right into speaking to their target audience, which potentially, not a guarantee and not every single time, but if the website is built the right way and used in the right way, it's going to increase their business, even if it's just enough to offset the investment cost of the website. So not that we can say building this website is going to quadruple your business, but I would bet you that there's an element involved that having the right website done the right way is going to increase business enough that you're going to, in a certain period of time, there'll be a break-even point where you go, you know what, we started getting so many web inquiries and we got some business in, and boy, over X time frame, I pretty much recouped our cost we invested in the website a year ago.
Right. Your website should be easy to update. It should be very dynamic, and you should be able to make big changes quickly.
Yeah, change, easy, affordable, those are all words that people like to hear. So if someone would like to learn more, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you and learn more about the services that you provide?
Yeah, I definitely check out our website, personablemedia.com. And my email address is a great way to get in touch with me, Heath, Heath, at personablemedia.com.
Super. Well, Heath, thank you so much for your time today. It was great getting to know you and your business.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.